Hello everybody, thank you for joining me. The annual reports from both TikTok and Spotify suggest that there's an increasing enthusiasm for sped up music, which I think is what they're calling it, where a track that has been known and played regularly at its normal speed is reissued faster. And give me an example, it sounds a bit like this. It struck me as being a symptom of our times, where everything seems to be speeding up. People seem to, someone of my generation, to have much less patience, much less tolerance with having to wait for things. Everything has to be now. And there's a sense in which life seems to be much faster. Everything happens much more quickly than it used to. I think this is in some ways a good thing. Obviously, you can get more done if you do things more quickly. On the other hand, it is often at the expense of slowing down and just taking things at a more relaxed pace, allowing time to enable things to happen without having to force them to happen by wanting them immediately. I want to relate this to the whole business that we're thinking about of Christmas and the birth of Christ, because a lot is made in the readings for Christmas that it was that the time was right, and I must say I find that very strange. I mean, it's quite difficult to imagine why necessarily God chose the Jews. He could have chosen any number of different races of people to be the group of people who produced the one who was to be God's representative on earth. But why then? Why that particular period of Jewish history under Roman occupation? I mean, there was nothing particular about that era of history that hasn't been repeated many times since, with one empire oppressing small peoples, or lots of the other things that were relevant at the time. And of course it happened before that too. Why that particular moment? I don't really find myself coming up with any answers for that. But I think that's the point, isn't it? That it is a complete mystery why God should choose this particular moment in that particular place to be the place where his representative on earth, the one who was to be his human incarnation, would be born. And I think theologians have a phrase for this. They call it the scandal of particularity. It's the extraordinary nature of God to choose particular moments which don't, to us, seem to have any meaning, seem completely random, for God's intervention in our affairs and in the affairs of the world. But I think what it does remind us of as we move towards celebrating this particular scandal, this particular incarnation that seems completely random, is that there is no moment when God can't intervene, when God can't be part of our lives and part of the lives of the world. And it's part of our faith, those of us who are Christians, just to trust that God will choose the right time. God doesn't need times to be speeded up or slowed down. God knows the right time for anything that God wants to do in the way of participating in human life. God there all the time, but not necessarily active all the time. But we can trust that God will be active when the time is right for us and in the life of the different aspects of the world's history that we know about and experience.